Hello. So I'm going to show you how to make a part that I found on a test that an engineering teacher has put out. It's a SolidWorks test. I'm going to do this part, and I'm going to do this one in my next video. This one seems to be the more simpler one. These are going to be easier than the ones you would find on a SolidWorks test. So we are going to start simple, and then I will move on to more complex. So to get started on this, I would make a rectangle and then add in the circle and the cutouts. I will post this test on the Google Classroom so that you can go and print it out so you're not having to look between screens or look between windows. But we will practice also using two monitors for the test. You'll have two monitors. Okay, so to get started, we're going to go to File, New, Part, and hit OK. If you didn't see that again, you have to kind of hover over the little arrow. It's going to bring in these windows. You're going to go to File, New, Part, and hit OK. We are going to draw this on a front plane. Sorry, a top plane. We're going to draw it on the top plane. The planes are pretty important, especially when they give you a origin on where things need to go. But we're gonna get through that when we start actual test questions that are gonna that you could see on your test. But you need to make sure that you choose a good plane for each question, and that's gonna be something that you're gonna have to figure out yourself. So the top plane is where we're gonna draw, get started on, and I'm doing that because. Let's see if I can pull it up. We are going to start by drawing this square, and if you're looking at it, that you're looking down at it, that would be the top. So top plane. We're going to click top plane and then hit sketch, and then sketch in the corner so that we can sketch. If you use your center mouse key, your cursor, your rolling key, you can zoom in and zoom out. And if you, okay, so now that we're in Sketch, we are going to start off with a rectangle. So click the rectangle. It's the corner rectangle. You always want to start off at the origin and then draw from there so that your drawing is kind of locked in or attached. So, so now I have a rectangle. So, and this is something that it's actually my mistake. The first thing you want to do before you draw anything is go down here where it says IPS. You're going to change that. So we are actually drawing, and this one we're drawing in millimeters. It says metric, right? So we're going to need to change this to mmgs. And then actually, if you hit edit document units, so now we're over here in the document properties on units. And what we need to have is, this tells you how long of a decimal you need to have, which is important because when you're typing in definite numbers or exact numbers, you'll need the decimals. So for MMGS, the metric system, you typically don't have decimals because it is such a small number. But if it was in inches, you would that would become more important. So we're just going to leave it at the standard of 2 basic units. Length is 2 decimal points. But I want to get you in the I want to get you used to checking this, because if you have to do it in inches, then that becomes a problem. So you want to change that, and usually it's 2 or 3 decimals. But we're going to stick with MMGS, and we're going to stick with 2 decimals. And I can't see the bottom. Okay, so we have our rectangle. So if we're looking at it, The rectangle shows a length of 88, this right here. So we want to give it an overall length of 88. It's always best to start on your outside dimensions and then do the smaller dimensions coming from there. Sorry. We need to go back into editing the sketch. So, and this is a good example if you find that you're not editing the sketch. If you see I tried to dimension this rectangle, but I wasn't actually editing a sketch. You're going to want to delete that. Go back into your sketch, click on it, and then if you hover over it, it says edit sketch, and now we want to dimension it. So at this point, you're going to smart dimension it, and it's 88. So you really want to pay attention to a lot of the things that I'm showing you, because getting used to editing and getting used to if you're stuck or if you got out of a sketch, and you need to make sure you know how to get back into the sketch. So just being able to make the part perfectly is not going to help you when it comes to the test, because things are not going to be perfect on the test. So you need to know how to get in and out of a menu, how to edit a mistake, how to quickly fix anything in case you have that problem on a timed test. Okay, so we have 88 is the overall large dimension. Okay. Now, if you look at the drawing, it gives us this 22 from the outside of this rectangle to this inside here, and that's the center of this circle. If you look, these are even on each side. And so instead of making this 44 from this one to here, we're going to actually measure it from here to here. So we're going to smart dimension. Make sure you have smart dimension highlighted up here. You're going to click on the dot, you're going to hold down control, and then you're going to find the middle here, which is a yellow square. Click on that, like to go control, click, and 22, hit enter. And now we are fully defined in our rectangle. If you see down here, it says fully defined. So we can actually leave the rectangle at this point. So we're going to leave the sketch. You can do that by clicking this blue over here, or you can hit it over here. Do not hit the red X, because that will delete everything. Okay. So now we have our rectangle. So what we're going to do is now give the rectangle some depth. So right here, if you look, it has a depth of 15. So let's do that. So to do that, you're going to hit features, you're going to hit extruded boss base, and then just make sure you hit your sketch. And we're going to actually want it to go down. We're going to change this arrow so that the top plane is actually sitting on top of the part instead of like in the middle of the part. So change direction, and it's going to be 15. Okay, so now we have a rectangle with some depth to it. Now we are going to hit the green check. So now we're going to do this cutout here. There is, yeah, we're going to do this cutout right here. So now we can hit sketch, and we're going to place a sketch right on the top. So sketch and sketch again, click the top. Hit Control 8 on your keyboard to make it go facing you. And then we want a line, oh sorry. we're going to want to convert this here. So convert entities so that it can make it, when you convert entities, it takes whatever is in a previous sketch and converts it to this current sketch. So I'm going to hit convert entities. I'm going to convert this here, this one, and this one. And this one. The green check. So now we have a rectangle. And now we can, and there's a number of ways this part could have been done. If you feel like you could have done it easier, then be my guest. I'm just showing you step by step. Once we get into harder parts, we will consolidate some of these steps so that you can do things quickly. So we're just going to draw a line from here to here, and then draw a line down, and then draw a line here. And actually the lines that we converted, this one we don't actually need, this one we don't actually need, and this one we don't actually need. So really we just needed this one. Okay, so, and what I did was just click on them and hit the delete button on my keyboard. Okay, so now we have this kind of rectangle that's here. We're also going to put a circle. We're going to put a circle right on the center point of this little line here and make it go all the way to the next line up. And then you can get off circle. Okay, so now we're going to add some dimensions. We do need this line. Don't need this line. There you go. Okay. So we really didn't need to convert anything, but sometimes it's easier to convert, sometimes it's easier just to draw your own lines. Okay, so what we're going to do now is give some dimensions to these parts. So here, it says it has a radius of 10. So if you kind of drag out, this is actually giving me a dimension. So you can just put 20 for your dimension since it's a radius of 10. Okay, and then from here to here, what did we have? We have a distance of 22. Okay, and then we are going to trim some of these inner lines. So we're going to trim through the inner part of the circle, and we're going to trim through this line here. Okay, so we are still underdefined, and the reason why, and the way you can tell you're underdefined, it says underdefined here, and then you can also figure out which direction is it allowing you to move things. So it's allowing me to move out, and move this way and that way, which means that these are not locked in. So another dimension that we have is this 54. This 54 here. So we're going to, and that's from the center of the circle to the edge of the rectangle. So with smart dimension, center of the circle to the edge of the rectangle. It's 54. Okay, and so what it did was it took this part here off of the line. So what we need to do, that means that we didn't have a relation set. So if you get out of smart dimension, click on the line, hold down control and hit this line here. What we're going to want them to do is collinear. It's important that you understand what these words mean.